Then I went again.
Well, he said spiritual dimension.
How precious and how important the world is. If you have a family.
Everyone else was astonished.
Rabbi Mordechaj Einbinder is the Associate Director of Chabad of the Valley and a shliach in Tarzana, California. He grew up in New Haven, Connecticut.
Sometime after my Bar Mitzvah, I think I was about 13-ish, there was yechidus with my family, and one of the major questions that was posed to the Rebbe was where I should continue my Jewish education. Should I continue in New Haven, Connecticut for yet another year, as we were about to enter high school in Masifta, or should I go to the main Lubavitch Yeshiva in Ocean Parkway in Brooklyn, New York? And the Rebbe, I guess, was being a true diplomat. He went around the room. He asked my mother, first he asked my father, what did he think? My father was a very easygoing person. He was the consummate chassid. And he says, whatever the Rebbe says, I'm very happy with. It's all good. Then he asked my mother, soll sein gesund. My mother gave her typical dramatic answer. And it went something like this: Rebbe, Brooklyn is a jungle. And he's still very young. Soll bleiben mit mir noch ein Jahr. Let him stay with me another year. The Rebbe smiled. And the Rebbe asked me, what do I think? And I told the Rebbe, honestly, I'm comfortable in both places, but if I prefer, I would prefer going to New York because the sviva, the environment, would be more conducive for my spiritual growth. And I remember it like today. The Rebbe turned to my mother especially, and he went like this. And he smiled. He says, Ich nehm das auf meine Plätze. I take this on my shoulders that he should go to New York. He'll be fine in New York. And Maisa Shahoya Kachoya, that's the way the story unfolded. The next year I was in the big yeshiva, and everything was fine, and I had a very successful year. And I find out something some 20 years later. And I remember in that year, I was in Rabbi Marlowe, Oliver Shalom's class, and my brother-in-law, Rabbi Lipsker from Philadelphia, pops in all of a sudden in the middle of the year to visit me. And he asked me how I am. He speaks to my friends. He spoke to Rabbi Tenenbaum, Oliver Shalom, the principal, to Rabbi Marlowe. And he checked out my dormitory room, and I said, well, what are you doing here? He says, no, I care for you. I was on my way to Philadelphia. I stopped off to see how you're doing. I said, that's great. End of the story. 20 years later, I'm sitting Shiva for my father. And we're just talking this and that. My brother-in-law tells me, you don't really think I like you that much. Do you remember when I visited you in Ocean Parkway? I said, sure, I remember. You were dropping by. You were on the way. He says, that's not the real story. I said, what do you mean? He says, remember I came to check you out. I checked out your dormitory. I checked out with your Rebbe, how you doing. I saw how this is and how that is. He says, you think I have nothing better to do than to go visit you in yeshiva? Of course, he said it in a comical manner. And I said, what do you mean? What's the scoop, Zalman? And he says, I received a call from Rabbi Chadakov. And Rabbi Chadakov says, the Rebbe will wissen. The Rebbe wants to know what's happening with your Shvager Einbinder. Is he happy? Is he doing okay? And I want you to go down to the yeshiva and check out the situation. Und soll reinschreiben, klar und deutlich. You should write a very clear and exact report how your young brother-in-law is doing away from home. The point of the story is an awesome point. The Lubavitcher Rebbe sits at 770 Eastern Parkway. He's involved with the macro. He's involved with global issues. Yet he doesn't forget about the sensitivity that he gives a Jewish mother. Ich nehm das auf mein Plätze. I take it on my shoulders, he'll be okay.